3, 2, 1, end of test. Keying with a go.
Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Warbird Wednesday. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum, and I want to welcome you back as we are working our way down flying boats. And today, we are talking about the big kahuna, the H-4, the Hercules. This was the largest flying boat ever built, and it was larger. It was the largest wingspan aircraft ever built up till, I'm going to tell you in a minute, Kevin, what replaced it. Now, the Spruce Goose was made from the Duramold process. It was made out of wood, primarily birch. But before I get to that, what is the heck is this thing that you gave me to wear on my head? Okay, I know the deal. I am a good person about it, but this thing is absolutely frightening. My Quitch assistant. So I'm going to, Kevin is here today. He enjoyed this thing. I don't know what this is, psychedelic curlers or something, a good catch by the Kevin. Now, the H-4 is a different animal, and that is because it was made entirely, as I said, out of birch in the Duramold process. Do you know what the Duramold process is? Kevin, I'm sure you make all kinds of things out of that. But basically, they would take wood, primarily birch, in a pulp, like slurry, and then they would compress it with other magical elements. And what they would get out of it was a cast material. You know, I want to say it's like plywood, but it really isn't. But they could mold it, hence Duramold, and they made aircraft parts out of it. Now, we have talked about Duramold before because we have featured other aircraft that are that use it. But so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because I have in another segment. But the idea was, with a shortage of aluminum that they had and the size of this darn thing, it wasn't practical because of the allocation of resources. Remember, when this started in the early days in 1942 and a little bit earlier, this thing would have sucked up all of the resources for all those fighters and bombers and everything else, and they couldn't get there. So they went with the Duramold process. Now, there was only one of these aircraft made. I'll throw up a view of this bad boy. We actually have one. Good job, Kevin. I don't know where you got this thing from in our collection, but we have one. So Greg can throw up a plan view in post. Now, think about this. This was actually the brainchild of Henry J. Kaiser, right? Now, Kaiser was a shipbuilder, right? And he was building, Kevin, Liberty ships, he was very successful and had gotten the production process down on Liberty ships where they were banging out these bad boys just by the bushel, right? And so part of that was they needed to get, we call it lift now, but back then we didn't have cargo planes and helicopters and all that other stuff. But the idea was they needed cargo space to move war material to Great Britain and also into the Pacific. And as the war started, they didn't have it. Now, the Liberty ship, we're not a Navy museum, but the Liberty ship was amazing because it could be built in these sections, right? And then all the sections would be put together, and then poop, out pops a ship. Well, because in 1942, they also were thinking about, well, why can't we do that with airplanes, right? We'll build a whole bunch of Spruce Gooses and we'll H-4s, and we will basically have two ways to get the the goods and material to where they need to go. And at that time, what we talk about flying boats, one of the most practical thing was you didn't need runways. So these things could go wherever they needed to go as long as you could figure out moorings and how to get the stuff off. This thing, the H-4, became a really, really valuable asset. Remember, Eisenhower said that the C-47 was one of the weapons that won World War II. What was it? It was a cargo carrier. Imagine if you could take something that you could stick multiple C-47s inside and it was practical. You could, you'd own the world. You could move cargo anywhere you wanted. So Henry J. Kaiser, this was his idea, and he teamed with Howard Hughes because he did not know how to build airplanes, but obviously Hughes did. So the aircraft has been done many times. I'm not going to delve into that because there are really great in-depth documentaries about the H-4, and we're just be treading new stuff. But Hughes immediately gravitated to this Duramold process. The F-46 was the first aircraft to actually have Duramold, and then probably the most prolific Duramold user was de Havilland, and they did the Comet, the Albatross, the Mosquito, and the Vampire. Also all had the Duramold process. To give you an idea of how tough Duramold was, a cylinder of Duramold and a cylinder of aluminum, what do you think is stronger? Duramold, 80% stronger. So it was a lot stronger than aluminum. So you can see why they went down the path to actually build this airplane. Now, the men who building the airplane, they didn't call it the Spruce Goose or the H-4. It was made out of primarily birch in the process. They called it the Birch, and you fill in the blank. That's how we get around YouTube censors. But they had a more colorful name for the aircraft. The aircraft was built down in Long Beach, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the buildings because the legacy of the aircraft lived on. But first, I want to move to my salute today. And my salute today is to dreamers. Dreamers get called crazy, right? And if you look at a Howard Hughes at the time and the things that Howard Hughes did, a lot of people, and yes, he had some issues later in his life, but in his vision, people called him nuts, that he was nuts. And I want to salute everybody that dreams, especially about aerospace and stuff like that, because you can dream big. And I'll give you an example. And that example is, think about when I was a kid or in my 20s, landing a rocket on its tail was in science fiction. Remember those old science fiction movies like Forbidden Planet where the rocket would come down and land and the guys would jump out? And strangely, all the crew members on the ship were like 1940s sailors, or they all, oh, go get them, Cookie, and all that kind of stuff. But it was a very strange dynamic in how they wrote that movie. But landing a rocket on its tail at that time was complete science fiction. It is not anymore. And why? It's because of Elon Musk, who is another dreamer. And by the way, dreamers don't stick to one invention. Like a Howard Hughes did all kinds of different things. Elon Musk, all kinds of different things. Thomas Edison, all kinds of different issues. I mean, I can just go down the line. But if you're a dreamer, don't let anybody tell you that you can't dream big and that you can't fulfill your vision. Stick to it. And today I'm going to salute the dreamers with Jupina. Jupina, I don't even know what this is. A natural, artificial something or other. Do we know where this came from? It looks like it had 210 calories. Wow. Very low sodium, though, on the can. Definitely Spanish. I can't make out where this was made. So the staff is again, surprising me. I would assume from the pineapple on the can that this is some sort of pineapple drink, but it's got a lot of calories in it. So, oh, there we go. Oh, and it is fizzing a little bit. That's good, or it's corroding the can, one or the other. All right. So to all the dreamers out there, bless you, and keep dreaming and keep pushing forward. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. You can. Cheers. Well, it's got a little carbonation. It's obviously gotten hot and cooled off. It's not like completely terrible. It's not something I drink. It's very sweet. Well, Kevin, you kind of missed the mark there in that it's not something that I really want to go over here and spit out. So Greg is going to be very, very disappointed in you. So the H-4 went into, design and production, and just due to its mammoth size, it took forever to get completed. It actually didn't get completed until after the end of the war. But it was the largest aircraft built until the scaled composites, the Stratolauncher. So to give you an idea how big this thing was. Hughes, after Henry J. Kaiser lost interest in it, which he basically took a look at the logistics and said, okay, there's no way to get this finished. Hughes took it on and went ahead and finished it. And we all know about the flight where the thing gets, a few feet off of the ocean, and basically, which was like the ultimate to everybody who's given him a hard time that it would fly. He was called before Congress in 1947 to testify.
Well, now, Mr. Hughes, I'm asking you what your answer was. And we're not going to have this bickering back and forth. You are before this committee, and you're going to answer the question.
You asked me just now about a reply that I made. My answer is I don't remember. Now, the man is taking it down there.
I'll ask you again. What? Will you bring Mr. Mars in at the 2 o'clock session?
No, I don't think I will.
Will you try to bring him in?
Oh, I don't think I'll try. I've put the sweat of my life into this thing. I have my reputation rolled up in it. And I have stated several times that if it's a failure, I'll probably leave this country and never come back, and I mean it.
He was in a number of congressional hearings about this aircraft. To give you an idea, the aircraft at that time cost $23 million. That would be $238 million in 2022 dollars. Howard Hughes went on, did other things, had all kinds of interesting companies, the Glomar Explorer, and working for the CIA and doing all kinds of interesting things. In the 1970s, there was a ownership dispute over the aircraft because the government said they paid for it, or they owned it. How they worked out was, if I'm correct, the H-1 Racer went to the Smithsonian Institution, and then they kicked out this ownership to a private ownership. The aircraft went on and was in display in Long Beach for a long time. And I remember actually being down in that area. My family loved the Queen Mary, so that whole thing down in there. Disney eventually took over the ground lease in there and was going to do I believe it was called the Port Disney Project. That whole thing kind of fell apart. And at that point, it looked like the good old Spruce Goose was going to get its goose cooked. And then McMinville stepped in, and it was moved to McMinville in 1993. By the way, if you haven't gone up to see that museum is absolutely gorgeous. It's just a incredibly beautiful museum. They have an incredible collection. So if you haven't been up there, and you go see the Spruce Goose, throw them a few bucks and check out that museum, because it's really, really nice. So what happened? This is the airplane. What happened to the supply chain? the hangars that this aircraft were built down in Long Beach were converted to sound stages. 315,000 foot hangar was what was used to build this, and it was used in movies as soundstage in Titanic, What Women Want, End of Days. My understanding is that Google is now turning that area in Long Beach into housing and using it as housing. So I think the hangar is being repurposed even again. So that is what happened to the Spruce Goose. And as I said, I'm not going to get too down into the airplane because there's some really great documentaries on those. You can look those up. Now, I am standing in front of our P-51s, and in this case, I'm standing in front of Bunny. And none of this stuff works, and we can't fly this stuff without what? Pesos, dinero, a little scratch. So if you can click on the link, donate us a couple of bucks, we would really appreciate it. We've also got the links in there for our education guides, and if you're teaching at home, I encourage you to do that. But another thing you can do is look at this. This is Rosie the Riveter. I'm not sure Rosie worked on the Duramold process, but I bet she did at that time. This is pretty cool. This is like a drinking flask, right? Very, very cool. You can be someone to amaze your friends. So go and click on the link that's also attached to this video, and Jason will happily make one of these. No, he doesn't make them, but he will send you one out, and these are really cool. I like this. This is a nice graphic. Now, if you came across us on YouTube and you we don't do a lot of production. Greg, my video person extraordinaire, he does the editing. Kevin shoots it. We brought Kevin in. He's a new Warbird Wednesday guy. If you don't mind very low production and one take, I mean, I only do one take on this, and you like Warbirds, give us a subscription. Hand us off to somebody who you think might like the channel. We appreciate it very much. That's how the channel grows. And give us a comment. I love your comments, no matter how aggressive they are. Some of them get pretty aggressive, but we love your comments. Also, if you came across us on Facebook, same thing. Give us a like and a comment. Let us know. Share us. We would be extremely grateful for that. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
3, 2, 1, end of test. King was a go.
Day, all my fears have gone away. I guess this means I'm here to stay. Yeah, I'm ready to fly, ready to fly. Wasn't long ago I shook at the thought of being hooked. But ever since I wrote my book, I'm ready to fly, ready to fly. Come along and join us, we can plug you in a simulator. We'll teach you how to dance and be the perfect imitator. We'll give away all your music to the operator. We were born with a light to shine, and we can do it in our lifetime. And when we get the balance right, oh, we're riding on the satellite. Saw them hitting the beat. The sound that emanated, it was really sweet. Told them of a shyer man bitten twice, and gave a little old school good advice. Pretend is not the thing, got to be yourself. Honesty, integrity, happiness and health. Bending to the needs of others ain't the way. Be true to yourself and let the music play. Come along and join us, we can plug you in the
rise and be the